And just looking at pharmaceutical data, as much as we could reduce cost in these renegotiations, what I couldn't manage the cost of was the increasing utilization of anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication. And it just keeps increasing. What are we doing that we're on so many of these drugs? And there's got to be a natural way for us to manage the depression and the anxiety and the panic attacks and all the sleep apnea that we're really experiencing as a collective. This is a societal issue. So when I was introduced to breathwork, it just clicked. I think it's multifaceted when you're dealing with mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. I think that was very helpful, and I talk about this a lot in the breathwork sessions, is setting a life intention, really identifying that life why. And it's something that you need to put some thought into, and once you do that, it helps you decide who stays, who goes, what stays, what goes very quickly.
I'm gonna kick back when you fake like that.
Welcome to Beauty Unveiled. I am Dr. Angela Sturm, and I have my gorgeous friend with me, Tina Wrotenbery. She has an incredible story of going from Fortune 500 companies, corporate leadership, doing employee benefits, like ruling the world, still ruling the world, and finding what I presume is a little bit more balance with like breath work and being able to, capture different parts of ourselves and utilize those. And so I'm very excited to talk to you about your story and what all of that means for you and for what it can mean for other people as well. So welcome.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Sturm. I'm so happy to be here and privileged to sit here with you today and have this conversation. I've been really looking forward to it. So I thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So tell us your story. Where, career-wise, where have you been? What brought you here?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So to start at the beginning, I was raised on a big grain and livestock farm in Missouri. Mm-hmm. So that's where I learned some really good work ethic.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved taking care of the animals and, driving tractors and taking care of the grain and everything involved with being, raised on a farm. But I knew at probably about age 7 that wasn't my planet. Mm-hmm. And I decided that I would just keep my head down and listen to, do whatever these people told me to do, my parents. And when the time was right, I would find a life that was, better suited for me. Mm-hmm. So I left the day I graduated from high school and worked in a factory town on the Mississippi River with a couple of girlfriends. I wasn't ready to go to college. We looked at colleges, and every time we drive on the campus, I just felt like I was being suffocated. I'm like, I can't do that right now. I got to go see the world. So about 6 months into this, working in this blue collar atmosphere, I woke up one morning. I'm like, okay, this is not what I had envisioned. Mm-hmm. And I got the yellow pages and called the Air Force recruiter, and I was on a bus to Des Moines the next day.
Oh my gosh.
So I didn't talk to anybody about it.
Ever.
Yeah. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I was just like, that's, my dad was in the military, and he always had such great stories and loved serving his country. Mm-hmm. And I had that same feeling and wanted to do the same. So I'd taken the oath, so there was no going back. Mm-hmm. And that's when I came back and told my family and friends what I was doing. And I left a couple of months later for basic training and was fortunate enough, some of the testing that they gave me, I was able to be a more systems operator. Mm-hmm. So I intercepted live Russian communication, tracking our aircraft over the Baltic Sea. Mm-hmm. So I would monitor Russian communication, and I would know where their aircraft was, mm-hmm. and I would know where our guys were. Mm-hmm. And as soon as MiGs were in the air to shoot us down, I would, contact the pilots and tell them, you need to get out.
Right.
So it was absolutely thrilling.
Yeah.
And after about 2 years of that, I was considered one of the best operators in the European bloc. Mm-hmm. So I was offered a position on a mobile training team, and I was traveling around to different military installations, teaching career personnel, and this was Army, Marine Corps, and Air Force, this top-level security course, to help them identify if they rolled up on a frequency who they were intercepting. Mm-hmm. Was it Russian? Was it Ukrainian? Was it, all the different countries? And was it, their Navy or their Army or whatever? Mm-hmm. So I was active duty for 5 years, and when that was completed, I felt like I needed to kind of balance out that masculine energy, that overdeveloped masculine energy. Because, I mean, this was, during the Cold War, so there weren't a lot of females that were in these type of positions. So it was a lot of, pushing to get a seat at the table and to be in these positions.
How was the education received by people since you're a woman? Was that an issue?
Oh, my
or
gosh,
not so
that's
much?
such a good question. Because these are career military.
Yeah.
And I was the first female on the team. I was the only one that was unmarried. I was the only one under 25. And I was so I would walk into these classrooms and, especially the Marine Corps, they've got stripes all down their arm. And, they're like this with with their arms on the table, their elbows on the table, looking at me and I had bleach blonde hair at the time. So here I walk in with my little sergeant stripes on my arm, and they're like, okay, who's this little girl? What's she going to teach us? Yeah. But that's all I did all day was study this traffic, and I knew this stuff inside and out. So it was a 7-week course. And at the end of the course, we'd always have a big barbecue, and they'd always come up to me and afterwards and go, man, you really know your shit.
Yeah. This is what I do.
I do, but you really, you've been in that environment where you got to prove yourself.
Yeah.
It's not automatic that you're like, oh yeah, we're going to listen to what she says. I mean, you got to know your stuff and then above and beyond.
Right.
But oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Yeah.
Because I knew I had the goods. I knew what I was talking about. So to walk into that environment and go, just hide and watch.
Yeah. Watch this.
Yeah. So after I finished my enlistment, I wanted to be a flight attendant. It was something that I'd always wanted to do as a little girl, and an opportunity came up. So I was a flight attendant for a couple of years, and it was a ton of fun, but not as glamorous as you would think. And the money wasn't that great. And fortunately, I was furloughed after a couple of years. So that ended that for me, and went back to school and got my degree, video arts and science degree, which I've never really used. I'm kind of using it now with the breathwork and doing the videos and stuff. But all along the way in my 20s, people had talked about getting a 401k, these retirement plans that you really need to think about getting. I'm like, okay, where do you get one of those? And so I got into the corporate world, and I got my retirement plan and the company car and everything that comes along with that, and became a corporate executive leader as an employee benefits consultant and an expert in self-funded medical plans. So I have analyzed hundreds of employers' medical data, and just looking at the human behavior, and also looking at ways to reduce cost in the medical plans and increase the benefits at the same time, which can be very challenging. So I have renegotiated hospital contracts and pharmaceutical contracts, and just looking at, and I know this gets a little nerdy, stay with me here, and just looking at the pharmaceutical data, as much as we could reduce cost in these renegotiations, what I couldn't manage the cost of was the increasing utilization of anti-anxiety and antidepressant medication.
That's interesting.
And it just keeps increasing. I still have an employee benefits consulting firm, and it just keeps rising. And I would always ask myself, what are we doing that we're on so many of these drugs? And there's got to be a natural way for us to manage the depression and the anxiety and the panic attacks and all the sleep apnea that we're, really experiencing as a collective. I mean, this is a societal issue. And so when I was introduced to breath work, it just clicked that, this would be a possible solution or part of it. I think it's multifaceted when you're dealing with mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. There's a multifaceted solution. I think breathwork could be a part of that. So when was in the corporate world for several years, and finally decided to step away from that and started my own consulting firm, and had a little time on my hands. Yeah. And so I thought, okay, this might be a good time for me to find my purpose. What is my passion? And
obviously you're very driven. You can walk into the room and, show people what you've got. And,
Yeah.
You know, and
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Done a lot of presentations and looked at, different opportunities. So the first thing I did, though, I think that was very helpful, and I talk about this a lot in the breathwork sessions, is setting a life intention, really identifying that life why, because I think we have a lot of intention with projects and meetings and that sort of thing, but what is your overall life intention?
right.
And it's something that you need to put some thought into. It took 6 months for mine to arrive, but once it did, it changed everything. Because what I'm learning is your heart is a discernment tool, and you have to give it direction. And once you do that, it helps you decide who stays, who goes, what stays, what goes very quickly. So you're not spending time in a relationship where maybe you don't need to be there for that long. It will tell you this is done, or keep this one. So once that came to me, I was able to get more direction and just start that path of, all right, tell me where I need to be. And I ended up at an ayahuasca retreat in Costa Rica. And so I was scared.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds interesting, but also kind of scary.
Yeah. I hadn't traveled internationally by myself in several years, and I went by myself. I didn't know anybody else that was there. And sitting with plant medicine is not something that you take lightly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of preparation that goes into it, both physically, you have to, your diet has to be nice and clean, spiritually, setting an intention on why in the world are you doing this? And I mean, I was so nervous. I was running into walls when I first got there. I couldn't even complete a sentence. And one of the first things they do is have you attend a breathwork session, transformational breathwork, and I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So I thought, all right, I'll do whatever they tell me to do. I've paid the money. I'm here. Do it all.
Right.
So after the session, I was completely calm. The fear was completely gone, and I just felt this peace inside that this is where I'm supposed to be. Everyone here they're supposed to be here. We're all in this collective healing. We're all doing this together.
Yeah.
And just had this just calm sense of gratitude that I'm so lucky to be able to be a part of this ceremony. I mean, it's a huge ceremony. And just watching them bless the medicine will send you to this whole other place. And that's when it really clicked for me that this is really effective.
Yeah.
And could this be something that I could bring back the entire experience, basically like putting it in a bottle with the breath work and the whole entire spiritual experience and that collective experience, and bring it back and see if I can share this with as many people as possible. So I came back and I tried it on a couple of friends. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I chanted some stuff and I played some cool music. I had some essential oils that, I kind of messed with a little bit. And they had an amazing experience. They were able to let go of some suppressed emotions that they've been dragging around for years.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so I'm I'm trying to get rid of the word just. I'm the guide.
Yeah.
They're healing themselves by doing these breathwork patterns, and I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is my passion. This is really valuable to people, and has made a big change for me. I mean, I'm A-type personality,
Right.
Very assertive. A strong woman. You're one too, and it's like, okay, can we, keep her calm and more effective? So I was just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I found some experts in the field and got their certification to be a breathwork facilitator, and I opened a studio and started. You were one of my first clients.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It's a whole experience, and like you said, you feel the emotions and feel that calm afterwards, and yeah, it was great. So I was like, oh, you said you had virtual sessions. So I was asking about that before we started. Like, where are you at with that?
Yeah, I know. You were brave to be one of my friends.
I was like,
and you brought 2 people with you too. So that was really brave. Yeah, I do want to offer virtual. My website just went live this last
Yay.
week. I know, I'm
It's
so
exciting.
excited. And so you can book the virtual private sessions on the website, and then I'll have group sessions. I'm probably going to do them like Sunday afternoon, and I'll just post that on social media when they're available, and you can go online on my website and sign up for the virtual sessions. That way you're in the privacy of your own home,
Yeah.
and you can really let it loose.
Yeah.
Because there is some vagus toning, and it's breath work. It's called work for a reason. I mean, you're really putting some effort into it, and I'm guiding you through the process and just helping with you to be able to heal yourself, whether it's a spiritual healing or physical healing, or even some mental stuff that you're able to release. And that's what I recommend. I have 2 different types of the transformational breath work. The first one is cathartic, where we're basically helping you release those stored emotions and the suppressed energy, which as human beings, if we don't feel a feeling completely, our body has no choice but to store it. So we have all these emotions stored all throughout our body, and this helps release a lot of that. So what I like to recommend is that you do 2 of those and then come in for what I call elemental transformational breath work. And that's where we use the elements of your breath. So we'll do earth breath, air, water, and fire. And I guide you through all of that. And that's where you get more of the messaging. It's more of a higher level of a meditation type of experience. So once you're all cleared out, now you're almost like an open vessel, a channel, and now you can start tapping into that universal intelligence, I guess is a good way to talk about it, or describe it, where if you're looking for answers and direction in your life, this is a way for you to experience that, because they call it active meditation. And some people have a hard time meditating. Do you meditate?
I do, and I have to have like a sound to focus on, or it's hard for me to focus, but I have to have something that I'm thinking about. I've gotten better at it, and then I'll do well for a while, and then I'll fall off, and then well for a while, and I'll fall off. And I do feel like it helps me be more like focused and calm, and I'll say, okay, this is kind of the direction I want to go, and some decisions where I feel like a little bit clearer afterwards whenever I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And then,
well, good for you. Yeah. Yeah, it is. How long do you usually meditate?
Like 20 minutes.
Oh, good for you. Twice a day or once a day?
Just once a day.
Okay.
That's one of my goals, is to go to like twice a day. But the kids have to go to sleep when they're supposed to.
I know. It's a challenge to get that second one in. And I just find it really challenging. I did what is it called? The transcendental meditation. I know they have classes here in Houston, and I did that. And they recommend twice a day for 20 minutes. And I was really good for about 90 days, and then you find other things that you have to do.
Right.
And you kind of let it slip away. But this is, I think, for me, transformational breath work is like meditation on a rocket ship. I mean, it takes you there really, really fast.
Yeah.
And opens up that gap, in a really fast, speedy manner, which I love. Yeah, get me there fast. Get me there now.
It's probably nice that it's active, because then if you're someone that has a hard time sitting still, or, more, it's going to be easier to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, this transformational is pretty intense. So you'd only want to do it, maybe once a week or every 2 weeks, depending on.
So it's interesting you say about setting like the life goal. And I think that resonates with me. And I just got back from this. It was like kind of a business retreat where you go and you talk about, here's your financials, which you feel like naked when you're like, here's my financials.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And help make 3-5 year plans. How are we going to do this? Talking to someone else that's been down that road. And that was a big part of it, is here are 8 different parts of your life, and make goals for 3 and 5 years. And you're setting, intention that this is what you're going to do. And it's funny because it's coming from like the science part of my life, and they were like, there's something to it. I'm just telling you, there's something to it. It works because you go back and you look at this and you have done it. And so I think it's so interesting to me, because I hear it from multiple sides of, of my life, of different people, like setting those intentions. And And like you said, what you said made a lot of sense, that your heart's making that decision.
I think you commented, I had something about intention on Instagram, and you commented on it. You said intention is everything. And it is. I've seen so many podcasts, or listened to so many podcasts about how intention will outperform discipline or goals. I mean, once you have that intention set, you're gonna hit it.
Yeah.
Because your mind's just gonna go, and your heart's just gonna say, okay, this is the path that we're going on. So it's very, very powerful. But you have to have the discipline to sit down and set the intention.
And actually do it. Yeah, it was like a 4 or 5 hour process.
Oh, yeah.
Of this is everything you're going to do in all these different aspects. And, that was one of the goals in the spirituals. Like, okay, I'm going to meditate twice a day. I'm going to make it a point to do it. Because like you said, other things, shiny objects come along.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Bring in the clowns. All the distractions that come in that. Yeah, and I saw that one time where it said, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, then you need to meditate for an hour.
Yeah, yeah, so, that makes sense.
I know. But it's, you got to make time for it. And it makes, for me, it makes such a big difference to do that. But all of this work is in that category of, the meditation and really just being still. Because I think we talk a lot about prayer, but do we really sit back and listen for the answers? And I think that's what meditation is all about. And there's several different ways for you to get there. And breath work is one of them.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So I know you said that you were looking for your purpose. I know a lot of us kind of go in and out of that. Okay, what's my purpose? Like, what was it that you're like, all right, I want to look for my purpose. Was there any like specific thing, or it was just all the different things in life that came along that you're like, okay, this is...
I guess that's such a good question. I have so many interests and feel that, you get to a certain age, you're like, okay, I have a lot of wisdom. I'm talented. How can I take all of this and give back? Because I feel like I've been so blessed in my life. And, I love fashion. I love styling. My video arts and science degree, I did, a lot of styling on the set and set design. So I kind of went down that path. But I really felt like it was time for me to step into that realm of, what is my spiritual calling? What was I really called here to do? And once you find it, you start seeing where all of the things that you've learned throughout your life start showing up to pour into that passion and, that purpose. Yeah. And it's just crystal clear. It's like, this is it. And my husband was like, I just started doing it. I just went. And he's going, what's happening here? I'm like, I'm opening a studio. I'm going to be a breathwork facilitator. It's like, okay. And then it would, I didn't look back. I mean, it just keeps growing and getting bigger. And but that's a great question.
Yeah. So what's the first thing someone could do if they're like, it sounds interesting, but also a little scary? Like sometimes when we talk about these things and like bigger concepts and, it's a little intimidating, If someone's a little intimidated about this, what would be the first thing you'd say to do?
I agree. I think it's very intimidating and there's a lot of fear around it. I think setting your life intention is crucial.
Yeah.
Once you set that, then just see where it takes you. And you just start throwing stuff at the wall, things that interest you. And don't worry about what anybody else is saying. Yeah. Don't worry about anybody else's opinion because this is your journey.
Yeah.
And just because I did some stuff where people are like, once I landed on the breathwork, people are like, well, you tried a lot of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I did. So just move in that direction and it will start clearing out the messaging and everything will just start being there for you.
Yeah.
And you'll know it when it arrives. Yeah. It'll be so clear that this is what you were supposed to be doing right now. And it'll evolve and allow that to evolve, which has been one of my biggest challenges, and you could probably relate to this, is having a plan. I want to know where this is going. I want to know the outcome. I want to know what, where I'm headed. And it's enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Enjoy the journey. And it's going to take you to some crazy places. Let it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the journey is it.
That's it.
This is the journey. This is,
That's talking here right now.
Yeah.
This is part of it.
Yeah. Exactly. And as especially for us, where it's like, okay, you go to college and you go to medical school,
Yep.
then you go to residency and you have a plan and you get done and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, now what? Okay. You know, and you try to figure it out. And it's interesting to see people, because I'm more like you, where I'm like, well, let's try this and let's try that and let's try that. And I may fail a bunch of times, but then the one thing works. But I'm like, yeah, but I learned from all those. I don't really feel like it's a failure. Like, I learned a bunch of things doing that. You know?
That's one of my mottos is I'm not a mistake. There are no mistakes. Just, keep moving forward. Because everything that you do, you call it a failure, but that's where you learn.
Yeah.
Is where you're like, oh man, that didn't work out very well. But
don't
you'll
do
see,
that,
but you'll see later on where it's like, I had to go through that to get to this place.
Right. Like you said, all the pieces come together and you're like, well, that's why that happened. Okay, well, it makes sense. You know? And if you're always waiting for that next thing, well, I'll be happy when, or whenever, like you're not enjoying now. You're not appreciating those things. And that's been hard. I'm working on it.
I think that's probably a life lesson that we'll continue to learn, is that the happiness is right now inside of you at all times to tap.
Yeah.
And it's not getting this or that. It's right here. Enjoying this moment, whether it's, you've just made a huge mistake and you're like, oh, whoopsie, or you've just hit something new, really big where you're like, okay, that felt good.
Yeah.
I want to do that again.
Yeah,
But
more
you
of
got to
that.
go through, but you got to go through the tough times too, to continue to stretch. And what I asked for this last time, I just got back from Rhythmia doing another 4 ceremonies. And that was the thing that I asked for. The intention that I had was learning how to be comfortable while being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times in my life I know where things are incredibly uncomfortable. And to learn how to move through that feeling of the fear and being uncomfortable and not being certain what the outcome's going to be, where's this going to take me, to just enjoy it. And a lot of it has to do with putting that smile on your face. It's relax, breathe, surrender, trust, and smile. And the smiling is the hardest part, because sometimes you're like, but this hurts so bad. But once you turn that up, all of a sudden you step into that gratitude spot. And you're so grateful that you get to experience this being uncomfortable. Right. That's part of the human experience is, sometimes it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah. I saw or heard somewhere, you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time.
Oh, good one.
Like, oh, okay. So if you can just be grateful for that, like you said, that situation, being able to even be in that situation, sometimes we're like, oh, these problems. We're like, but I'm grateful that I can have these problems, because there's other people that wouldn't even have this opportunity to have this problem,
Yep. You're absolutely right.
So many good lessons. So is there anything, what would you go back and tell yourself 5 years ago? Because that's when you graduated college,
Thank you for that. Oh, gosh. 5 years ago, I would say trust more, surrender more, smile more. Just lean into it and enjoy the present. The people when they're on the mat, everything that's going on. When I might mess up the script or play the wrong playlist, or all the little things that can happen. The website. It's taken me a year to get this website. Yeah. And virtual. I have been so hard on myself about not being virtual yet. And I realized that I didn't have a virtual game until last week. So this is when I'm supposed to be virtual. So just be easy on yourself. Give yourself a lot of grace is what I would tell myself, is just allow it to unfold the way it's going to unfold, because it's all going to work out the way it's supposed to. Yeah. Just take your hands off the wheel, and just let it just go. Do the work. You have to do the work, and you got to show up every day. Right. But just, enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for so many good points and thoughts and sharing your story with us. It's amazing. You're such an inspiration.
Thank you.
I appreciate you so much. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you.
Thank you. And if you enjoyed today, please follow Beauty Unveiled. You can find me at www.drangela.com. And where can they find you?
At dragonflybreathwork.com.
Thank you so much.
Go.